Indiana on October 27, 1883. The Fred Hafner Drain Maintenance Fund was established by the Tippecanoe County Drainage Board on August the 2nd, 1972. The watershed was declared a drainage impact area on March 8th of 2006. The annual maintenance rate was increased to $10 per acre with a $100 minimum at a maintenance hearing on September the 21st of 2011. The drain and its watershed are located in Section 24 of Township 24 North and Range 5 West, and in Sections 19 and 30 of Township 24 North and Range 4 West in the political township of Tippecanoe County, Indiana. Approximately 1,390 feet of drainage tile has been vacated since the September 21st, 2011 maintenance hearing. Since the amount of drainage infrastructure under maintenance has been reduced, the maintenance rate needs to be adjusted accordingly. It is the judgment of the Tippecanoe County Surveyor, based on testimony from benefited landowners and GIS data, that the total benefited watershed area is 403.9 acres. The infrastructure maintained by the Fred Hafner Drain Maintenance Fund are listed as follows: open ditch 360 lineal feet, 10-inch tile 2,824 lineal feet, 15-inch tile 367 lineal feet, 18-inch tile 123 lineal feet, 24-inch tile 33 lineal feet, and 60-inch reinforced concrete pipe at 662 lineal feet. It is the judgment of the Tippecanoe County Surveyor that a sum of $21,992.17 is needed to maintain the existing tile and open ditch system over an 8-year period. An assessment rate of $4.50 per acre and a $5 minimum over an 8-year period is recommended. This will generate $22,009.68 over an 8-year period. It is the opinion of the Tippecanoe County Surveyor that this rate is needed to ensure that monies will be generated for future maintenance on this system. Respectfully submitted, Zach Beasley. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Zach, I'm just curious.
Yep.
I'm just curious, as I look at the map, and I look at the map here, where Q is, which is there at the very bottom of the south, doesn't that an open ditch? It continues to go south?
Yes, it does.
But that falls into a different watershed then?
Yes, it does, and it's private. And so that is a very good question. And so on the maintenance report I just read, the Fred Hafner regulated drain. So for those who may be listening to us live stream or following along elsewhere, if you look at the watershed map that's available on the screens, the Q property that Commissioner Byers was just describing is the property at the very southern portion of this watershed, which would be the downstream portion of it. Immediately north of that south boundary, watershed boundary on the Q property, you will see the blue line that begins there. That is the beginning of the county regulated drain open ditch, and that blue line represents, as described in my maintenance report, 360 lineal feet. And so when this drain was originally set up, they only brought in 360 feet of that open ditch. And so once from the head wall downstream 360 feet is all that has legally been determined as part of the regulated drain. The ditch, yes, continues on south, but it's private after that footage.
So the maintenance on that private ditch on down is the landowner, i.e. the county owns the one part
Exactly.
straight down there, but there's still a gap in between
That's
there to where the county owns. I get that part.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. It was originally set up that way. I didn't see a need to change it. Not saying that it couldn't be changed. It would, yeah.
I mean, that ditch is going to still have to be maintained.
Oh, it will be.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so to that point, I will share with the board, I remember this because I was working in the county surveyor's office at the time. It was before I was county surveyor. The previous county surveyor, Steve Murray, worked with the Tippecanoe County School Corporation, and when the Battleground Middle School was constructed, a couple different things happened. That was when this watershed was declared a drainage impact area. And number two, why is this not working? There we go. So here where the hand is located, so obviously all of you know where the Battleground Middle School is located. So underneath the road, there was a 60-inch reinforced concrete pipe that was constructed across this property. And then a new head wall was constructed, a very large concrete head wall was constructed here. And then the open ditch was reshaped, dredged and reshaped and cleared for that 360 feet. Then there was also a negotiation with the Q landowner and then the county also, and the school corporation went ahead and dredged and cleared on down to roughly this area here to make sure it had good positive flow through there. So that was done in 2006, 2007 timeframe when the Battleground Middle School was being constructed. But to your point, Dave, yes, it would fall on the landowners outside of that 360 foot as it's written today.
But with the potential of that area right there, Q, all of it becoming developed,
That's right.
should that not go ahead and join in then and
So.
be part of this then?
Yes, and I think that's yet to be determined because it has been quite some time since I've seen plans on that property. I did see preliminary plans on that from the Schneider Corporation a few years ago, and they were looking at some detention basins that was online, and they were looking at some designs that were offline of that conveyance system. But I think to answer your question, my recommendation now, as we sit here today, as historically when we were looking at plans for that Q property from the developer, this body had not came to the point of enforcing new residential subdivisions to become regulated drains. So with that now being something that we are doing, I think now when that property is developed, we should have this conversation as far as making the open ditch part of that regulated drain, and then that would ease the concern I think you have. And then the county owns the property to the south, so,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So Q, oh, go ahead.
Good, which I understand, that's why I'm trying to figure out that open ditch from
Yeah.
where it's stopping to our boundary line.
Yes, there's a gap. Yeah.
Somehow I think that should have been added or whatever. but-
Yeah,
or
it
to
should,
be added.
it should probably have been, but there was no motivation from any landowner that brought it to me, and I didn't necessarily feel comfortable just grabbing it and throwing it in there per se. I happen to agree with you from a technical stance. I just didn't want to be overreaching, I guess, and be presumptuous.
So the property that was removed from this watershed, was it just east of property D?
I'm sorry, can you restate that? I didn't follow what you were
the
saying.
property
the
that
guest
was removed-
wine?
Yeah, the guest wine property, was
Yes.
it just east of
Oh.
property D?
Yes, yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I wasn't following where you at. Yes, it was right in here.
Okay.
And it does run down the hill this direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so then with, to tag along to Dave's question,
Mm-hmm.
when property Q is developed, because it's already been zoned.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And it will develop, so that will be a standalone regulated drain.
Yes.
So it will be removed from this regulated, the part that's highlighted here will be removed from this regulated drain? And move its
No.
own regulated drain?
No, I don't think it would be removed. We haven't historically done that. It would just be, become its own regulated drain.
Okay, so they wouldn't be paying, I guess I'm confused because they wouldn't be paying into the Fred Hafner regulated drain any longer.
No, they would.
They would?
The way this is written, it would. And let me explain to you why. I think we can use this one, the fieldstone that is existing, as a good example of
Okay.
how to answer your question or concern. So right now, this fieldstone development drains into the infrastructure of the Fred Hafner. And so they are now, assuming this is approved, they will be paying $5 a lot. Now, and that stays the same regardless. Now, if that development went in before we started enforcing new residential subdivisions become county regulated drains.
Okay.
So if they so choose now to petition this board to make their infrastructure, storm sewer infrastructure within that development a county regulated drain, they most certainly can do so, and it would be a separate county regulated drain with inside this Fred Hafner.
Okay.
Because it's not fair for this landowner here and I and L, the ag landowners, to pay for their storm
Okay.
sewer and
Okay.
manhole structures and cleaning
That
out their
makes perfect
ponds. They
sense.
would need their own fund to maintain their own infrastructure.
Okay.
But yet their water's draining into the overall Fred Hafner. So that, you understand, right?
So
Yeah,
if Q is developed,
yes,
the folks that have parcels within the shaded part of Q would be paying into the Fred Hafner plus their new regulated drain.
yes,
The folks that are south of Q would only be paying into their new regulated drain, not into the Fred Hafner.
exactly, yes,
Okay.
because they would be outside of
Got
that
it.
boundary. Yes,
Got it.
yep,
And if by chance I became developed,
yes,
that would then be the $5 a lot
yes.
as current, what we're putting together. Okay.
Exactly, yeah. And just so you guys know, this may fall into the category too much information, but just for transparency, I want to make sure this is said. As you noticed in my report that I wrote, September 21st of 2011 was when this maintenance fund was set up. Well, it was increased. And so when that happened, there was no residential development of this density in this watershed, as you see. That was the first one that came about. And so what brought this to my attention was some of the landowners in Fieldstone, lot owners, homeowners, and the developer called me earlier this year and said, hey, we're paying $100 a lot on these lots. This is astronomical. What's going on here? And I got to looking at it, and I realized that, oh, yeah, I see what happened. It was a sequencing issue. Because when we set this up in 2011, there were big lots like A, C, and D. They're 5, 10 acre, 3, 4 acre lots. It made sense for them to pay $100 minimum. But when you bring in a high density development like this, $100 a lot is excessive. And so I told him, I said, yes, I agree with you, and we'll reevaluate it, and I did. And so that was what drove this hearing today. And I think it's very fair. So I know one of the landowners, Mr. Shelley, believes that the lot owners in Fieldstone should pay more money, and I do want to address that. So I can address that very easily with 2 points of clarification. Number one, the $5 minimum is required by the state of Indiana on all parcels in any watershed that is in the drainage code. Number two, if Mr. Shelley's concern is addressed apples to apples, these lots in Fieldstone are roughly 0.2 acres, so that would be 5 lots per acre, so 5 times 5 is 25, so roughly the residential development's paying $25 an acre, where the ag community is paying $4.50 an acre. I think that's very representative of the additional runoff coming off of the improved ground. So just for transparency, I wanted the board to have that information.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any public comment? No?
I guess, Mr. Masson, if you'd read the findings of orders?
So I'd recommend the following order, that this matter came to be heard upon the maintenance report and schedule of assessments prepared by the Tippecanoe County Surveyor, filed on September 8, 2022, and revised October 13, 2022. The certificate of mailing of notice of time and place of hearing to all affected landowners was filed. Notice of publication of time and place of hearing in the Journal and Courier, Lafayette, Indiana, were filed. Objections were filed. Evidence was presented by the Tippecanoe County Surveyor. After consideration of all the evidence, the board does now find that the maintenance report of the Tippecanoe County Surveyor and schedule of assessments were filed in the Office of the Surveyor on September 8, 2022, and revised on October 13, 2022. Notice of filing of the maintenance report and the schedule of assessments and their availability for inspection and the time and place of this hearing was mailed to all those landowners affected more than 30 and less than 40 days before the date of this hearing. Notice of time and place of this hearing was given by publication in the Journal and Courier newspaper of general circulation in Tippecanoe County, Indiana, more than 10 days prior to filing. The legal drain consists of 360 linear feet of open ditch, 3,347 linear feet of drainage tile with various diameters, and 662 linear feet of reinforced concrete pipe with a 60-inch diameter. The present condition of the ditch is acceptable. The ditch drains 404 acres total. Estimated annual cost of maintenance is $2,749.02. Estimated benefits to the land exceed repair and maintenance costs. A fund for annual maintenance should be established. In order for In order to provide the necessary maintenance fund, the annual assessment per acre and lot benefited should be $4.50 per acre with a $5 minimum. The assessment list filed herewith is accepted as presented. The assessment list filed herewith is fair and equitable and should be adopted. The assessment should be collected beginning with the May 2023 taxes. Now therefore is ordered that a maintenance fund be established for the Fred Hafner number 34 regulated drain at the annual rate of $4.50 per acre, and $5 minimum benefited. Schedule assessments filed herewith are adopted and made part of, and the first annual assessment shall be collected with the May 2023 taxes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the findings and order for the Fred Hafner number 34 regulated drain.
I guess I just want to state initially for the record, I do have a nephew that lives in this zone, so I'm just letting that be known. And by saying that, Mr. Vice President, I do move that we approve the finding and orders that's just read.
I will second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned. That was quick. Yeah. So do you have one copy you want signed, or should we sign the one in our packet?
Well, just we crossed out